Today I'm going to make chocolate chip cookies. Everybody I know has their own way of doing chocolate chip cookies, their own way of mixing them, baking them, everything. This happens to be one of my husband's favorite things in the world, and I used to make 12 dozen of these every weekend, and he would finish them by the time the week was finished. Now that he's getting older in age, he doesn't like to eat as much because he says I'm making him fat. I think it's the cookies, but that's a whole different story. I have a pound of butter. I have 2 cups of light brown sugar and a cup of white sugar. And we're going to put those in the mixer on high until the butter and the sugars are creamed. And while that's happening, I'm going to take 5 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to take 2 teaspoons of baking soda. 1, 2. And I'm going to take 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to stir those together for us to add later to our creamed butter and sugar mixture. And now we're going to head over to the mixer. So we're at our mixer with the brown sugar, white sugar, and butter. And we are going to cream that. I like to do this for a little while just to make sure that there's air incorporated into it. That way my cookies will rise up and not spread out and flatten. Now what we're going to do is add our eggs, 5 of them. Cream those some more. And then I'm going to add in one of my favorite ingredients, which is Mexican vanilla. And yes, we get it directly from Mexico. Well, indirectly. Someone goes to Mexico and gets it for us and brings it back. So we need 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And then we're going to let this mix for about 6 minutes. So our eggs have been fully incorporated, and see how light and fluffy it looks? This is the color I'm looking for. So now I'm going to add my flour, baking soda, salt mixture a little bit at a time, mainly because I don't want my mixer to spew flour everywhere. And we just want to incorporate the flour, not overly mix it, because the gluten in flour will make your cookies really chewy if you release all of that gluten before it's baked. Totally incorporated. Now head back to the table and add our chocolate chips. So our cookie dough is mixed. The first thing I'm going to do when I pull it out of the mixer is scrape the bottom to make sure that everything is incorporated and there are no like patches of flour or sugar that didn't get mixed in with the rest of the batter. And then I'm going to add 6 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips. My family loves chocolate, and they truly believe that if there is a bite of a chocolate chip cookie that doesn't have a chocolate chip in it, then I have failed. So I learned in the beginning that we had to add more chocolate chips. A regular recipe will tell you to add about 4 cups. So if you like more of the dough part of the cookie, feel free to add fewer chocolate chips. Like I said, if we don't get a chocolate chip in every bite, I have somehow failed the entire family. And I mix these in with a spoon, well, a wooden spoon, because if I use my mixer, it'll chop the chocolate chips into little bitty pieces, and then they don't get a full chocolate chip in every bite either. All right, now I'm going to take my scoop, and I have a parchment lined cookie sheet, and I'm just going to scoop on. We like big cookies. My mother-in-law will tell you hers are about half the size, but this is how we do it in our house. And I'm going to bake these in a 375-degree oven for about 10 minutes. If you make them smaller, bake them for a shorter amount of time. You don't want to burn them. So I get about 10 on a cookie sheet. Now we're going to pop these in the oven. So it's been 10 minutes. We pulled our first tray of cookies out of the oven and they're going to sit here and cool. I've got 2 other trays working, and here's how I do it. I'll have one in the oven shortly. When the timer beeps that it is ready, I've got a minute to get these off and onto a cooling tray, and then I can put the 3rd tray in, pull this tray out, and move this one over to add cookie dough to it. So I'm constantly moving with the 3 trays as we're baking cookies until we run out of dough. So these are going to sit right here for about 8 or 9 minutes, and then we'll move them to a cooling rack. And this is just a plain metal rack that has holes in it so that air can get to the bottom of the cookies and they don't keep cooking on the pan that they're on. So I had my 1-minute warning on the oven, so now we're going to take these off quickly. Put these, the first batch, on our cooling rack. Stick this to the side. Grab our 3rd pan. Switch them out. Let these rest. And while those are cooling down, I'm going to put more on the tray we just emptied. And we'll rotate like this until all the dough is gone. Now our first batch of cookies has had enough time to cool, and it is time to taste them. Look at that. Look at that ooey gooey. I love chocolate chip cookies. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
Okay, pick it up. Jonah, pick your cookie. Awesome. Now tell me what they taste like.
Yummy.
Is it yummy?
Tastes like heaven.
Mommy do a good job?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Great job. Great job.